So we had Tucker Carlson interviewing Vladimir Putin. Everybody's talking about it, and the mainstream media, it's hard to even fathom what they're saying because it's so inaccurate. Putin sat down with Tucker Carlson and lectured him. That's a CBC, of course. They lectured him. They just make it all sound like he was a psycho. I'm not trying to say that I'm a Putin supporter, but I'm definitely a supporter of finding out what the president of Russia has to say. And the mainstream media criticizing Tucker Carlson for going over there and doing what the rest of the world wanted us to do just continues to say more and more and more about the mainstream media and how untrustworthy it is. How on earth would they not want the general public to understand what the leader of Russia is thinking?
Boris Johnson calls Tucker Carlson a traitor for Putin interview.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely insane.
Canadian Prime Minister insists Canadians won't be fooled by Putin's propaganda.
Oh my God, yeah, the CBC. Fuck the CBC. The CBC has already admitted that they cannot sustain their business without the Liberal Party being in power. That's already been very well established, which suggests without a shadow of a doubt that they are a partisan fucking news organization. So that's just nuts. But anyway, yeah, moving back to Tucker, I thought the interview was fairly informative, to be completely honest. I understood the reasoning behind Putin going back and doing the history lesson. I think understanding the history of all these regions within the Ukraine made perfect sense as to why there were these conflicting relationships going on. And to hear that Putin requested to Bill Clinton if the country could be part of NATO. Now, perhaps the mainstream media is going to say that that's not true, or he didn't do that. I mean, Clinton has been clearly on Epstein's island and clearly has been compromised. So I don't think you could trust anything that Bill Clinton has to say. He had requested to be part of NATO. They told him no. And then they decided to exclude Russia from the missile defense system. And he even said, can't I be a part of the missile defense system? They insisted no. He insisted, if I can't be part of your missile defense system, I will have to develop one for my country's sake, which makes absolute sense. Maybe they're blatant lies. Either way, even if he is lying, you still have to be able to gauge those lies for yourself. It sounds to me like he warned them from a leader perspective, which is his job as the leader of Russia, to defend his country, defend his people. It was well known that if NATO was to expand into the Ukraine, that Putin would have to defend the country's borders from an organization that doesn't seem to want to be a part of him. Now, here we are, Ukraine's still at war, media telling us that we need to send more soldiers that way. And what's going to happen to these soldiers? Everybody knows that those poor soldiers are just going to go to the front lines and be slaughtered by a country that has far more resources. And then you're going to continue to threaten the American people by saying if we don't fund this war that seems to be only one-sided, the only people that seem to want the war are the Americans and the Ukraine. It seems as though if they were willing to sit down with Putin based on what he had told Tucker, there would be no war. This would be over. This would be done with. And if everybody wants to pretend that he's just lying, then why doesn't the Biden administration contact him tonight, and ask him, is this really what you want? We're in. You would think it would be that simple. Peace with Russia, there would be no boogeyman. The only boogeyman they would have is China. And you can't have China as the boogeyman because China provides all our iPhones. We need our electronics. China is, sure, it's a powerful country with a massive population, but they're not the boogeyman because we'll always have a good relationship with them. But they need a boogeyman, and that's Russia. And that's how you create fear. And that's why they won't settle down and allow Putin to join forces with NATO. And he knows that if he can't join forces, there's a corrupt reason as to why that is. Because he's insisted, and again, who knows? Maybe all he's saying is absolute and complete total bullshit. But I don't know. I'm a pretty good judge of character, a pretty good judge of energy. And watching that interview, he seemed to mean business. He was all business. What was that question he asked? Are we on a talk show or are we having a serious conversation? He didn't show up to fucking goof around. He didn't show up to look good on camera. He showed up to talk business. And I think he did that because I think he's tired of this war. I think he's tired of watching people die unnecessarily. I don't think he's an evil person. I don't think really any world leader aside from Joe Biden is an evil person. Yeah, maybe Trudeau. Justin Trudeau could potentially be an evil person. But he's just such a slimy little weakling.